Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to day two. So happy to have you. I am so honored to be able to join you virtually wherever you are in the world, in your home. If we're spending the morning together, good morning. If we are spending the afternoon together, good afternoon or evening. I really wanted to create something that was so user friendly that could meet you where you are, wherever you're at in your life. If you need to be able to do this before the kids get up or after the children go to bed or on your commute to work, I really wanted to create something that, again, would simply meet you where you're at. So I am honored to be here with you again today. Reset for Radiance. This training is really a roadmap of some of the tools and techniques and ways of being that have really helped me on my personal journey, on my path of healing, to begin to extract all of the external fluff to start to come back home to who I know that I really, truly, and deeply am at such an innate level. I can't wait to continue this with you. And for day two, yesterday we really talked about awareness, right? Lifting the veil of ways of being or thought patterns or ways of showing up or things that were so conditioned and integrated into our lives at such a young age that we really weren't even aware of that, right? Starting to get curious about that, having the lens of compassion for ourselves through that process, because sometimes things come up that our bodies weren't necessarily ready to handle, see, witness at certain points in our lives. And going there now can start to bubble up some fear. So I want to remind you to come back to that truth of fear is deep, just excitement without the breath, right? That our body knows that this is something that is really good for us, but it gives us that energy that we're not sure what exactly is going on. Just breathe into it and just meet yourself where you're at. There are no expectations, rules, anything that goes along with this, right? It is simply teaching you beautiful ways to meet yourself where you're at. So for day two, after we start to cultivate that awareness, right? Things are starting to bubble up. The next step is really acceptance, and being with what is. Again, not changing anything, right? Not trying to manipulate what's showing up, just being with what is. And as we begin to open that door of awareness, letting the light to come in so that we can start to accept what is there, to shine its brilliance on the depths of our being, and to begin to really crack us open from the inside out, to bring all that needs to surface to come to the surface for healing. That is that is so true. And I'd like to share with you something that has really been such a monumental truth for me, a way that I can keep coming back to that for myself. And it was when I was at one of the darkest spaces of my life. A dear mentor shared a thought with me, really an analogy that changed my perspective of this and allowed me to accept exactly where I was, because I was resisting it like crazy. I was trying to bypass my healing by helping other people, right? I was trying to be the do gooder that had not really witnessed myself. And she was able to see this so clearly. And the words that she brought to me just really allowed me to step into a deeper space of healing for myself that brought peace that I was not aware that was available for me. And she could really, like I said, she could start to sense my resistance to the acceptance. And she came up to me one day and sat down beside of me, and she said, "You know, dear, if you look at all that's coming up in your life to be witnessed, look at it as that, to be witnessed and healed. Look at it like a splinter that has gotten stuck in your skin. And notice if you simply leave it there, that it's going to begin to fester and become infected. It'll get red, right? Really painful. It's not going to get better. right? If we leave it there, we leave it stuck beneath the skin, healing is not available. She said, but if you remove that splinter, if you gently pull it out, recognize its presence, recognize that it's there, remove it so that the air and the light can come in, it will begin to heal. And she said, only when we accept its presence, the presence of anything in our lives, can we begin to consciously choose to let it be, right? To let it be there, to let it sit in that, to let it continue to keep us on a habitual way of being or patterns in our life, or we can see it as it is, right? Accept its presence and then choose a different choice for ourselves, right? To begin to allow the light and the air in, to let it heal. And if we think about this, just as we would anything else coming up in our lives, right? If we can allow ourselves to become aware and then accept what is without resistance, then true healing is made available to us. And I go back to that so often in my life to remind me when I do feel something that's coming up, right? That this doesn't feel good. This isn't something that I want to allow in. Reminding myself, if I can just allow it to be, if I can let it show me what it is that it's meant to show me, if I can accept its presence, then I can begin to have the opportunity to make a different choice for myself, right? A different way of being. And I have carried that wisdom with me for years. And it allows me to start to move forward, right? Tara Brock, which is a mentor that I've been following for quite some time, a quote that she brings forth is that you can't change something if you don't accept it, right? We can't change things in our lives. We can't transform or move forward from them if we don't accept their truth. So that's what we're going to start to cultivate today, right? Is the ability to become aware, number one, and then accept. Accept the emotions, accept the feelings, let whatever it is to be, and then move from that space. Many times when we're faced with the idea of accepting what is a deep, deep inner fear that we've probably been carrying for quite some time, that again, that fear starts to creep in. Sometimes it's the fear of the unknown of what might happen if we actually start to look at what's beneath the surface. There's also a fear of settling, right? A fear of that if it's that acceptance, right? Well, I'm just going to accept this as my truth, like settling for that. And then also a fear of something going differently than we have expected, right? That those thoughts start to creep in. And I want to bring a truth about fear forward to considered here. Fear is always future paced. When we find ourselves in a space of fear, we are always thinking outward and beyond where we're at the current moment, right? One of two things are usually popping up. It is either a fear that we're not going to get what we want, or a fear that we're going to lose something or something will be taken away from us, right? And if we can start to catch ourselves in that moment, again, breathe into the fear of what might be surfacing, letting our breath come in, right? Then we can allow ourselves to see the fear for what it is and allow ourselves to notice that when we are in a space of fear, when we are future tripping, we're not present, we're not here. And the only thing that truly exists in time is now, right? Our perception of time in our psyche and our mind is that, right? It is a perception. The past is something that we have. It's almost like we create a movie of our past, that it was something that happened, but we can't go back, right? In the future, we tend to either look at the future with fear or excitement or intrigue or curiosity. But it's, again, if you can think about all the things that are taking us outward, and just like this work that we're doing, right? The inner work of coming back home to ourselves. How can we practice that here and now, in that, how can I be here with myself in this moment, in the space that's only true and real is the now, and prevent myself from getting stuck either in the past or the future, right? Really starting to let that come in. And I just want to invite you to begin to really reframe your fear, really breathe into what's showing up, and knowing that your body is simply trying to care for itself the best way it knows how, right? That the fear is showing up because it is afraid of our body, that something's going to come up that's going to harm us or not be of our best interest. And the truth of knowing that our deep subconscious, like our inner being, is always there to protect us. And the things that are surfacing for us to heal, we no longer need them, right? Those are things that helped protect us in the past. To allow those to come up, to see them for what they are, and allow ourselves to just be in the moment with that now, to start to trust the fear, or really any emotion that's coming up for that matter, to trust that it's here to teach and guide you, right? To teach you what it is that it's time to actually really begin to look at. So reframing is a really powerful tool for mindset transformation, changing the frame in which we look at things in our lives. So the things and events in the world around us, they have no meaning themselves unless we give them meaning, right? Things have meaning because we attach meaning to them. Think about that. Nothing around us has meaning until we actually attach meaning to them. That shows us that we can change the meaning of nearly anything at an unconscious level using this tool of reframing. Reframing helps us look at things from a completely different perspective. I like to think about it like a new lens, like you would get a new lens for your camera, right? Being able to look at things to possibly find a deeper meaning, to see the silver lining, or even the lesson beneath it. I want you to consider ways that we can start to cultivate this into your experience, to reframe certain circumstances in life, to consider maybe the illness of a parent. That helps us to see our own worth and true potential in life. That was very personal for me. The loss of my dad allowed me to really embody the sheer magic of being a human being on earth and what's possible for me. It allowed me to break through some of my own personal limitations, to stop accepting other people's truths as my own and really come home to myself, right? Reframing the loss of a job, right? That helps us reconnect with aspirations and dreams that we had pushed down from our childhood that we just thought weren't available to us. Reframing that loss to see something that's much greater available for us, right? Reframing if we're having trouble in a relationship, that helps us to begin to heal some of the parts of ourselves that have been bubbling up to heal together, right? That we can do that in a relationship with one another. Good. I know this is probably true for many. Sometimes when we're spreading ourselves too thin and we find ourselves completely exhausted day in and day out, can that be a time that we finally set and place boundaries around our energy? Starting to create the potential to look at life, look at what's showing up with a different lens, allowing ourselves to create a new meaning for what is showing up. We have that opportunity and potential within us each and every moment. And as you start to reframe the fear or any emotion, as we start to reframe it, we begin to feel the grip of that emotion that it might have had on us before start to really release and soften. And again, that's allowing the breath in, coming back to the truth of fear is excitement without the breath, right? If we're in that contracted, constricted space of fear, we have a really hard time breathing. And if we can allow ourselves just to reframe what it is that's showing up, change the perspective in which we're seeing that, it begins to allow the breath in naturally so that we can start to see exactly what is coming for us. As we enter into that space, I am reminded of a really beautiful teaching that I learned from a course called The Power of Awareness. And the teachers were Tara Brock and Jack Kornfield. It's a really beautiful, deeply nourishing program. And Tara Brock actually kind of reinvented an acronym that is really useful and easy to use for anyone when emotions are starting to bubble up. And this tool, it starts to really invite in compassion and mindfulness in the moment, right? In the moment when we start to feel the constriction or the contraction, right? Allowing us to be with that, allowing us to sit with the emotion a bit. And the tool, it's an acronym that is used, and the acronym is RAIN. So RAIN. The R stands for recognize, right? Recognize what is happening from a space of understanding and compassion. Recognize. Allow is the A. Allowing life just to be as it is, right? As we're here on day 2, accepting what is, allow it to be. The I is investigate, getting curious, right? Getting curious from a space of deep understanding and compassion. And then the N is nurture, bringing back that loving kindness that we would share to a young child or someone that's going through something in life, that bring that for ourselves. So often we are so good at spreading all of our love outwards. Start to allow that to come back within. Start to really nurture yourself through this process. I love the simplicity of this tool, that it can show up anytime that you need it, right? And to be able to walk through that in our mind in a really quick amount of time, to be able to allow ourselves to take that moment to, rather than react to the situation, right? We're starting to consciously respond in a way that is going to be so nurturing to our soul. So let's walk through this together. Let's bring up again, maybe a little bit of fears coming up. So let's observe that together through using this tool of RAIN, right? So the fear, right? And a lot of times people just simply seeing it as it is. I see the fear. I see fear coming up. I see fear showing up in my life right now. I feel the fear in my heart. I feel the fear in my stomach, right? Recognize what's happening. Just become aware and simply observe it, right? Simply observe where it's at, that it's present. Let it just be, right? So we're recognizing it. Fear usually for me shows up in my belly. All right. So I could say, I recognize the fear showing up in my belly right now. And then the A, right? Allowing it just to be as it is. Allow and accept. Allow to be in the now. Releasing any expectation or judgment and noticing it simply as it is. I feel the fear. I'm allowing it to show up now. I'm allowing myself to feel it. Tara at times would say, allow it in for tea and let it sit for a bit, right? Allow it in, open the door and let it be. I feel the fear. Oftentimes for me, the fear would say, you're getting ready to do something that is stretching your bounds, right? It's growing you. Let that be here. Let the fear just bring your awareness to that now, and know that you're getting ready to expand and move beyond that. Just noticing, right? Allow it to be. Just seeing it as it is. The I, right? Investigate with gentle attention, deep understanding. Get curious. What is beneath this? What is this fear showing me? What can I learn here? How can I better understand what is showing up and cultivated and being provided for me? How can I look at the fear as a teacher of, yes, I feel the fear. I know that I'm getting ready to step into something that is expanding my boundaries, that's growing me, right? That you might be feeling right now as we're going through this. Let it be there. And what is that showing you, right? Is it a fear of, again, that something might happen that you're not expecting, or there something might show up that you're not sure that you can handle? Can you just investigate what's beneath that, right? Coming back into the now, preventing ourselves from going outward and just sitting with where we are, being from that space, that seat of the observer with loving kindness, right? And then coming to the end, the nurture, let that awaken love within, right? It really invites in a sense of kindness and compassion, like loving kindness for ourselves, coming back to that truth that we are simply human and all the realness that comes with that, right? Choosing to witness all that's bubbling up from that lens of love, being able to nurture ourselves deeply with what it is that our bodies are showing us, right? Nurturing the fear, going beneath. Maybe there was a sense of unworthiness, right? A sense of what will others think, a sense of how do I really show up like this in my life? Or how is this possible for me? Just sit in that and allow it to be. It's all completely normal and natural, right? And when we allow it in, right? Again, the only way through is in. Allow ourselves to just be with that, not resisting, inviting it in, right? Choose to love ourselves as we would a small child or a gentle animal, really letting that sit. And once we go through the each letter, right? The rain, the recognizing, the allowing, the investigating, the nurturing after the rain, that's when we start to realize our freedom from the narrow identity that we have created for ourselves, right? That's when we start to open the veil, open the box of our potential, bring back the panoramic view where we have probably been on quite a narrow path for ourselves from this point forward before. And when we do that, we can really define our own reality. We can begin to define and choose what it is that is our birthright and gift moving forward. In an instant, we can shift the inner dialogue and narrative of our minds to create this beautiful landscape and world that we get to choose to abide within, right? We get to paint the picture of what it is that our life is going to look like beyond that, because we're no longer locked into the struggle that we've had with these emotions. As we allow them in, as we begin to nurture them, as we begin to have that loving kindness for ourselves, they get to move through, right? That they're no longer constricting and contracting our space and our body and our minds. We can see all that's available. And so I just want to allow you, or I want to invite you to start to allow these practices in that moment, making the conscious choice to really respond to ourselves with love versus the triggers of things that are coming from the outside world, choosing how we want to show up and want to express ourselves outward, right? It starts from within. And knowing, owning the truth that when we change our thoughts, when we change our relationship with our thoughts and the way in which we're really seeing ourselves and loving ourselves, we start to change our lives. And it is it's a ripple effect, and it's that one act that starts to build into another, into another, into another. How are we showing up for ourselves that then allows us to show up for the rest of the world, starting here first, right? And I just honor you for doing this work, for showing up for yourself, for remembering the truth that you have everything you need within you now. I am so honored to guide you through some of these processes that have really changed my life. I want you to keep inviting all of this healing work in, really nurturing yourself through this process. Please reach out to me if anything is coming up for you that you feel is a little bit too much or hard to handle in these moments. I am here to support you each and every day, any way that you need. Please feel free to reach out to me for anything, and know that I am so honored to walk beside you, with you in this process. And I I'm just so excited to see what shows up for you. So please share with me what's coming up. Let me know how you're feeling, things that are resonating with you. And I would just love to hear from you. We will be back for day 3 tomorrow. I'm so excited to see you tomorrow, loves. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.